Okay, and welcome, Fury Motion Picture Company, episode 4. I want to keep this one short and simple, so I didn't feel like y'all needed to see my bright, smiling face on this one, but I did want to mention a few things. First of all, as the title would suggest, this is a lens test I did recently with a set of Cine-Modded Leica-R lenses. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the Leica-Rs are a semi-vintage set of stills lenses that are used quite frequently in video production because of their vintage look and their vintage characteristics. Now, I say semi-vintage because this particular set of lenses is from the 90s, which is when I went to high school. So now, like I said, I want to keep this simple, so I don't want to do a full review here. But since these lenses do have a bit of a following, I thought it might be helpful to see what they look like on the Mini LF. So here you go, super simple setup with a window light, a black blanket for some neg fill on camera left, and some Christmas lights for extra party in the back. Now, a couple of reasons I wanted to try these lenses. First of all, I've read and heard so much about them on the internet, their vintage look, their vintage characteristics, their vintage bokeh, skin rendering, and all that stuff. So of course I wanted to try them out for myself and see how they look on the LF. Now, the other reason is because I'm shooting a music video and I needed something that would give me some character, some style. And usually lenses in this price range are pretty flat, sterile, and generic looking. So for my purposes, I was specifically interested in looking at how sharp these lenses are, as well as the characteristics of the bokeh at different t-stops. They do cover full frame, even the 19mm, which of course is great for me and great for use on the LF. Now, the 50mm and the 80mm are the Summilux, which means that they'll open up to t1.4, while the other lenses in the set have a maximum aperture of 2.8. A couple things I found were a little surprising. First of all, the 50mm and the 80mm at t1.4 have this cool, like, swirling effect in the bokeh. And it feels like the bokeh is kind of swirling behind the subject, which is kind of cool. I mean, it might not be right for every project, but I think it's kind of trippy, actually. And the other thing is the Christmas lights in the background start off pretty circular in the center of the frame, but as they get towards the edge of the frame, they start to get more oblong and more football-like. Both of these characteristics are more noticeable in the 50mm, but they're definitely also there in the 80mm. The other thing I noticed is as we stop down the lenses to 2.8 and then a 4/5/6 split, is that the Christmas lights in the background all of a sudden aren't circular anymore. They're definitely more of that stop sign shape where you can start to see the iris blades. One other interesting thing to note as we stop these lenses down, wide open, they seem to have a little bit of a vignette, right? A darkening around the edges. And as you stop the lens down to 2.8 and then to 4/5/6, the edges start to get brighter and that vignette kind of goes away. Now, I don't know if that's something I just haven't noticed in other lenses, but that's a characteristic that I certainly haven't seen before. Now, as far as being sharp, these lenses are plenty sharp, but it's a nice kind of pleasing, soft sharp without that digital, crispy sharpness, if that makes any sense at all. So I guess the only thing left to say is that after having used these for 4 days on our music video shoot, I've been quite pleased with the images that they produce, especially along with the Mini LF. Now, if you want to make sure to catch the music video and see these lenses in action when it's released, be sure to subscribe and then hit that notification button so you'll be notified immediately when I post it on this channel. All right, as always, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.